Hey, good person, you thought you had met your ideal partner, and a week later you're already the villain. If that's you, don't skip away. You weren't crazy. She went from angel to ice cold overnight, and your brain's still replaying every text, every look, hunting for what you did wrong. Here's the hard truth: it wasn't just her, and it wasn't just you. It was a projection loop Jung mapped a century ago. In this channel, we blend Jungian depth psychology with tools you can use today. By the end, you'll know why the flip happens and how to spot it early. 2 quick questions. Be honest. Did you idealize her fast and ignore small red flags? Did a calm no suddenly make you selfish? If you felt both, you're likely in the Anima shadow pattern. You projected an ideal, she projected a wound. This is not woman bashing, it's pattern awareness, so you stop reliving the same breakup with different names. Here's the engine. You project an ideal, your inner Anima, onto her, and she may project a wound onto you. At first it's magic. Then a boundary shows up, usually your calm no, and the fantasy cracks. That's the flip. Let us get the map on the table so your brain can relax and your choices can get smarter. Jung said the psyche runs on universal blueprints: self, persona, shadow, and anima, animus. Don't picture mystical beings, picture patterns, roles the mind slips into: lover, mother, warrior, trickster. Ever meet someone and think, I know you? That's usually an archetype firing. You are not seeing the whole person yet. You are seeing a role your psyche is primed to recognize. Every man carries an inner feminine image, the anima. Every woman carries an inner masculine image, the animus. These inner figures quietly shape what we find magnetic or intolerable. In real life, a man with a romantic idealized anima is primed to fall hard and fast for warmth, mystery, depth, sometimes in a woman who only seems to embody those traits. That's why love at first sight can be less about her and more about your inner image hitting the projector. If you're skipping due diligence because the vibe is cosmic, your anima is driving. Slow down. Ask, what 3 concrete behaviors earned this level of trust? If you can't name them, you're in projection territory. Shadow, the blind side you swear you don't have. The shadow holds traits you reject: neediness, anger, envy, vanity. You don't lose them by denying them, you export them. The guy who hates drama may secretly create it. The man who despises selfish people might be ignoring his own neglect of others. If a small flaw in her triggers a huge reaction in you, that spike might be your shadow getting poked. Flip the lens. Where do I do a version of this? Owning even 10% calms your nervous system and prevents overreaction. Projection, the glue that makes illusions feel real. Projection is your mind painting others with your unlived qualities. It fuels 2 of the most painful patterns in men's love lives. You project the perfect anima onto her. Reality can't match, admiration flips to contempt. You accuse her of what you can't face in yourself, or she does it to you. Either way, conflict becomes a hall of mirrors. Field guide, 4 micro-tests for this week. The speed test. If the bond feels fated inside a week, label it Anima Alert. Enjoy and verify. The specifics test. Attraction is fine. Make it behavioral. What did she do, not say, that proves kindness, consistency, respect? The shadow check. When triggered, name the trait out loud. Then ask where it lives in you. That restores sovereignty. The deprojection move. Replace she is X with I'm perceiving X. 1 verb swap returns you to reality and options. Why this matters? You stop mistaking chemistry for character. You spot early red flags, boundary allergy, all or nothing judgments, speed to intensity. You stay calm and sovereign. No chasing, no rescuing, no panic moves. Have you ever idealized a woman as your dream girl within days of meeting her? That rush is usually your anima speaking. You are not falling for the real person yet. You are falling for your own inner image projected onto her. Real people cannot compete with a fantasy, so when she inevitably behaves like a human being, the disappointment feels catastrophic. A simple way to reality check yourself is to pause and ask, what 3 concrete behaviors has she shown that truly earn this level of trust and admiration? If you cannot name them, you are in projection, not perception. Slow down, keep your eyes on actions rather than promises, and let time test the picture you have created. Placing someone on a pedestal is not love, it is idealization. Idealization makes everything feel effortless, until the first imperfection appears. Then the pedestal wobbles, and the same person who seemed life-changing can suddenly feel disappointing or even dangerous. That swing from all good to all bad is called splitting, and it comes from your own shadow reacting to the loss of the fantasy. Notice the early markers. Did you move to intense intimacy at high speed? Did a calm no from you instantly get recast as a moral failure? Did small disagreements become sweeping verdicts like you never or you always? When two or more of these show up at once, you are not in a stable bond. You are inside an idealize and crash cycle. Step back, name what is actually happening, and reintroduce pacing and boundaries so reality can come back into view. Projection does not only wear romantic clothing, it also shows up in conflict language. When someone says, "You always do X," treat it as a hypothesis rather than a verdict. Ask yourself whether the accuser might be describing a trait they cannot accept in themselves, and also check your side with the same honesty. If you are being hit with "you're selfish" or "you're too emotional," examine the facts, times, places, and specific behaviors. Write them down, verify them with evidence, and invite the same standard in return. Replacing "she is X" with "I am perceiving X" instantly moves you from accusation to observation. That small shift ends the Hall of Mirrors feeling, reduces defensiveness, and returns you to choices. Clarify, set a boundary, or disengage. Fantasy is fast, character is slow. If you keep your attention on repeatable behaviors, insist on mutual pacing, and translate global accusations into specific observations, you dismantle the projection machinery that creates the pedestal and the pit. You will not only protect yourself from the flip, you will also give a real relationship a chance to form, one built on reality rather than your own reflection. Just as men project an inner feminine image, some women project disowned qualities from their inner masculine side. Jung called this inner opposite the animus. When the animus is distorted or wounded, it can surface as hard judgment, contempt for vulnerability, and a drive to win the argument rather than relate. In everyday life, this looks like extreme reactions to ordinary male behavior. A calm no is treated as betrayal. A simple request for space is recast as abandonment. Genuine emotion is mocked as weakness. The content of the fight matters less than the tone, which becomes prosecutorial and cold. This pattern is not about blaming women. It is about recognizing unconscious echoes. If your steadiness, kindness, or sorrow suddenly repulses her, you may be touching a part of herself she cannot yet accept. She is not only reacting to you, she is reacting to an inner figure that carries anger, disappointment, and unmet needs. That is why Mrs. Perfect one day can feel like Ms. Demon the next. Two psyches are colliding, each with its own projections, and the collision is loud. Learn to notice the tells. The first tell is contempt. Teasing becomes humiliation and curiosity becomes cross-examination. The second tell is global language. Small disagreements turn into verdicts like "you always" and "you never." The third tell is an allergy to boundaries. A calm no triggers moral accusations rather than negotiation. When two or more of these appear together, you are likely dealing with projection, not only conflict. Respond with clarity, not counterattack. Start with reality testing. Name what actually happened and ask for specifics. Say, "I hear that you felt dismissed when I asked for space. Here is what I said and when I said it. Can we stay with the facts?" Then set a respectful frame. Say, "I want to understand you. I am not available for insults or contempt. I will continue when we are both respectful." Protect your limits without punishing hers. If the pattern continues, step out cleanly. Say, "I am going to pause this conversation. We can try again later today." Do not argue character, and do not beg for permission. The goal is not to win. The goal is to keep your center and to give the relationship a chance to return to reality. Hold your mirror at the same time. Ask yourself what this reaction lights up in you. If her contempt instantly turns you into a rescuer or a pleaser, that is your pattern. If you swing from worship to hatred, that is your projection. Own even a small part and your nervous system will settle. You will speak like an adult rather than a boy trying to earn love. Look for green flags as well. A healthy partner can slow down, name her feelings, and revise unfair judgments. She can hear a calm no and stay present. She can apologize without making you pay interest. When these green flags show up, the two of you are moving out of archetypal warfare and into a human relationship. The dark truth is simple. Some conflicts are not personal. They are archetypal. When you recognize the pattern and protect the frame, you stop feeding the shadow. You replace panic with sovereignty, and you give both people a chance to meet as they are, not as their projections demand. Most men who suffer the pedestal to pit flip are not weak. They are romantic and loyal, which is exactly why these two traps work so well. Pedestalizing and the rescuer or savior complex. Once you see them, you can step out of both without bitterness and without games. Pedestalizing, idealizing. Pedestalizing feels like devotion, but it is projection. You are filling an inner emptiness with a fantasy image and placing it on a real person. At first, it feels powerful. You are the knight, she is the princess, and the story finally makes sense. Then real life arrives. She shows a normal human flaw, and the fantasy shatters. Your admiration flips to anger, not because she betrayed you, but because reality punctured your projection. The red flags are easy to miss. You ignore small incompatibilities. You translate charming words into evidence of character without waiting for consistent behavior. You defend her to your friends while quietly silencing your own concerns. If you notice any of this, step back and slow the pace. Ask yourself which 3 repeatable behaviors have earned your trust and which 3 behaviors are still unknown. If you cannot answer both, you are relating to a dream, not a person. Replace "she is perfect" with "I am getting to know her," and let time do what chemistry cannot do. Rescuer or savior complex. The urge to rescue feels noble, and sometimes it is. Too often, though, it becomes a way to earn love by solving problems that are not yours to solve. You take responsibility for her feelings and her life. You offer advice that was not requested and support that was not agreed upon. You pour yourself out until you are empty, and the relationship quietly tips into a one-way funnel where you give and the other person receives. The test is simple. If you stopped fixing, would the relationship still exist? If the answer is no, you are not a partner, you are a service provider. Shift to consent and reciprocity. Ask, "Do you want help with this, or do you just want me to listen?" If she wants help, agree on a scope and a timeline. If she does not, practice restraint and presence. Your job is not to complete her. Your job is to meet her as an equal adult. Practical reset for both traps. Name the pattern out loud to yourself. Replace fantasy with evidence by listing specific, recent actions that show kindness, honesty, and consistency. Establish pacing by matching investment to demonstrated reliability, not to intensity or promises. Use one clear boundary sentence. I will not ignore my needs or values to keep the peace. I am happy to continue when we are both respectful. If that sentence ends the conversation rather than improving it, you have your answer. You can exit cleanly, without drama, and without turning the other person into a villain. The payoff is immediate. When you stop pedestalizing, you protect your heart from the crash. When you stop rescuing, you protect your energy from the drain. Most importantly, you give a healthy relationship the only soil it can grow in. Mutual respect, shared responsibility, and reality over fantasy. The clearest red flag is the instant flip. One day she praises you as exceptional, and the next day she condemns you as the problem. That sharp swing usually signals projection rather than an honest assessment of your character. If you hear all or nothing language such as "you always" or "you never," treat it as a clue that nuance has left the room. Healthy partners can hold mixed truths at the same time. When you notice this pattern, slow the exchange and bring it back to facts. Say, "I want to understand. Tell me one specific example of when this happened and what you needed from me." If specifics do not appear, or if every request for detail becomes another global accusation, the discussion is not about resolution. It is about maintaining a story. At that point, the most constructive move is to pause the conversation and return only when both of you can speak in specifics. Pay attention to fairy tale roles that dominate real situations. If she positions herself as the perpetual victim, and expects you to perform as the tireless rescuer, or if she demands to be treated like a princess while exempting herself from the same rules she applies to you, an unconscious archetype is running the show. When a relationship starts to feel like a legend gone wrong, queen versus dragon, witch versus hero, you are no longer dealing with two adults solving a problem. You are feeding an old story that will never feel satisfied. The practical response is to leave the script. State the shared standard in plain language. The same rule applies to both of us. If I'm expected to do X, I expect the same from you. If the rule cannot be mutual, the issue is not logistics. It is power. Notice how normal requests and small disagreements are handled. If a calm boundary leads to days of silence, if your request for space is recast as betrayal, or if affection appears only after conflict to reset the bond, the relationship is being regulated by punishment and intermittent reward. That seesaw keeps your nervous system on high alert and trains you to work for relief instead of working toward respect. Respond by naming what is happening without hostility. When I ask for space and get silence for days, it feels like punishment. I am willing to continue this conversation when we can stay in contact respectfully. If the push-pull continues, shorten the window. End the exchange early, care for your body, and come back only when tone and terms are healthy. These patterns are not exclusive to women. Men do them too. The point is not to label a villain, but to recognize signals that the dynamic has slipped into archetypal warfare. Your best tools are specificity, reciprocity, and pacing. Ask for one concrete example instead of arguing generalities. Require the same rule for both of you. Keep the tempo realistic so character can reveal itself. If those conditions cannot be met, exit the scene without insults. You protect your center and you give a real relationship, either with this person or the next one, a chance to exist in reality rather than in a story that keeps rewriting you. You can be kind and loving without letting someone walk over you. A healthy boundary is a clear statement of what you allow, what you do not allow, and what you will do next if the line is crossed. Use short sentences and neutral tone. Say, "I want to understand you. I am not available for insults. I will continue when we are both respectful." Use time boundaries when you need space. Say, "I'm not available tonight. Let's talk tomorrow at 6. Use pacing boundaries early in dating. Say, "I do not make commitments in the first 30 days. I prefer a steady pace." Protect reciprocity. Say, "The same rule applies to both of us. If I am expected to do X, I expect the same from you." If the boundary is tested again, follow through calmly. End the call, leave the room, or pause the conversation and return when the tone is healthy. If you notice constant rescuing or over-apologizing, stop and ask what you truly want. You are not responsible for fixing another adult's feelings or life. Offer help only by consent. Ask, "Do you want advice or do you want me to listen?" If the answer is listen, then listen. If help is requested, agree on scope and timeline so the role does not quietly turn into unpaid emotional labor. Intense annoyance, panic, or contempt are often signals that your projection is active. Move from reaction to reflection with 3 questions. Ask, "What exactly am I perceiving? What does this touch in me? Where do I do a version of this?" Write the answers down so your brain leaves the loop and re-enters reality. Shift your language from "she is X" to "I am perceiving X." This one change returns you to choice. Clarify, set a boundary, or disengage. Use a simple reality test when the story feels extreme. Ask, "What are 3 concrete behaviors that earned my trust? And what are 3 important things I still do not know?" If you cannot answer both, slow the pace. Talk with a trusted friend or a therapist to check your read against evidence. Holding nuance is strength. She is not 100% good or 100% bad. Neither are you. Jung's goal is individuation, becoming a whole, authentic person who does not chase completion in someone else. Integration begins with small daily practices. Do 1 boundary repetition every day. Say 1 clean no and 1 clean yes that align with your values. Keep a short evidence log for relationships. Note specific actions that show kindness, honesty, and consistency. Build a simple sovereignty routine. Spend 7 minutes each morning on breath, a body scan, and one written intention for the day. Name your top 5 values and one non-negotiable per relationship. Join a supportive space such as therapy or a men's group so you can practice truth without performance. Adopt a dating policy that protects you from dopamine spikes. Sleep on major decisions. Match investment to demonstrated reliability. Use 30-day, 60-day, and 90-day gates to let character reveal itself over time. One sentence that helps immediately. Say, I do not continue conversations that punish a calm no. I am happy to talk when we are both respectful. If that sentence ends the conversation rather than improving it, you have your answer. Exit cleanly, take care of your body, and choose partners from strength rather than need. The payoff is immediate. Boundaries protect your respect. Owning projection restores your clarity. Wholeness ends the pedestal and the pit and gives a real relationship a chance to grow in reality. This isn't about blaming all women or putting all the fault on others. It's about wisdom. Carl Jung's insights are shocking only because they show how unconscious forces drive seemingly crazy relationship flips. But knowledge is power. Now that you see the pattern, you can change it. You can refuse to idealize or rescue automatically. You can set real boundaries, face your own shadow, and insist on mutual respect. In doing your inner work, you reclaim control. Your next relationship won't be a replay of the same drama. You'll be building yourself up instead of borrowing someone else's image. That means no more walking into the same trap blindfolded. You'll finally stop repeating those dark patterns.